What is going on, guys? This is Joey Boy, finally checking back in, giving you guys another new video. Today, I'm going to be doing a long-awaited new Team of the Week video. Now, today's Team of the Week video is going to be for the Pokebank Overuse ladder. And for those of you who don't know, the difference between the tier I was playing before and the Pokebank tier is that all the Pokemon that will be accessible through the Pokebank feature, which is coming out pretty soon, they're all legal. So all of the Pokemon that you could only get via transferring from the old games, all the old egg moves that you could only get from transferring from old games, all those are now legal in the Pokebank tier. I haven't looked up recently, but I believe the Pokebank is coming out this month, so it won't be too much longer. So I thought might as well get a head start on it. I know a lot of people have been playing Pokebank over the regular ladder for a while, but I've only recently taken forays into the tier. It's not too much different. I guess a quick recap: a lot of the Pokemon that you didn't have to worry about in the just regular overuse tier that you will have to deal with in Pokebank. Big ones are Pokemon like Deoxys-Speed, Genesect, both of which you can see on my team. Also the Genies, so Landorus, Thundurus, Tornadus. The Musketeers like Terrakion and Keldeo. Those are the big ones. Heatran is a big offensive one. Heatran and Celebi as well. Jirachi, yeah, Jirachi you couldn't get before. So Pokemon like that. Pokemon, they're all pretty solidly OU, but you just couldn't get them in Pokemon X and Y without Pokebank. So this team is based on the Pokebank tier. And I guess to jump right into it, I'm going to go over a couple of the things that have been going on in Smogon. I haven't had a lot of time to play Pokemon recently. I had a very busy schedule for end of semester for my school. And then I have been battling a pretty solid cold for the last 2 weeks. So I haven't really had a voice with which to narrate these videos. So sorry for a bit of the delay with them, but I will be on a solid schedule now. So what's been going on with Smogon? They have been going over new tier lists, right? So all the new Pokemon which they hadn't banned before, they've been thinking about banning them. A lot. So I guess the first culprit of this was Mega Gengar. So these Mega Evolutions have thrown quite a curveball into Smogon's tiering, because, you know, we've never had to deal with them before. They didn't know the relative power scale that was going to be coming from them, and we quickly found, well, Smogon's community, quickly found that there are definitely some Mega Evolutions that top others. Mega Gengar was the first one, and I think everyone kind of knew Mega Gengar was going to be banned. I mean, it's by and far the strongest user of Shadow Tag, the ability that doesn't let you switch, and it can just be tailored for any team. I mean, it was hard not to imagine using Mega Gengar during the time where he was unbanned, because it could eliminate any Pokemon you wanted it to, pretty much, and it forced a lot of... Smogon doesn't like when it feels like you can't play the game, and that's what gives Shadow Tag its so unusable nature, because there's not really a whole lot you can do. They bring in their Shadow Tag Pokemon and you've lost one of your Pokemon, and there's no way around it. Besides, I guess Ghosts can no longer be trapped by Shadow Tag in this generation, but that didn't really help. It just meant Gengar couldn't trap things like Aegislash or like Trevenant, or the Gengars. So Mega Gengar was quick banned. This means that Smogon didn't go through a testing phase, and it was just decided it was too strong off the bat, and the Overuse Council just Bandit. Now, they have opened up discussion on Mega Kangaskhan. This is the second Mega Evolution that drew a lot of controversy, and that is what this team is built on. It is built around Mega Kangaskhan, who is, in my opinion, the strongest sweeper in the overused metagame to date. That is a pretty big claim. I've seen a lot of people comparing it to Excadrill at the beginning of last generation, but I think it's even stronger than that. For those of you guys who don't know, because it's a weird one, when the 6th gen was announced and we saw the Mega Evolutions, you know, there were Pokemon that definitely stood out. Mega Lucario, Mega Gengar were 2 of them. And then we started to see a lot of Mega Kangaskhan's, and I didn't actually jump on board as quickly as others. I didn't see the awesome potential Kangaskhan had. So when Kangaskhan Mega evolves, I guess we can just look at it right here. It gets this ability called Parental Bond. Now what that means is it hits twice in one turn. Think of it like the little baby is getting in a little hit as well. And the second hit has half the base power. Now, an item that, because you can only get this ability with this item, another item that boosts stuff by 50% is Choice Band. So Choice Band also boosts an attack by 0.5 times, or 50%, but it locks you into the move. So for Kangaskhan, it has a Choice Band where it doesn't get locked into a move, and certain moves have their effects doubled. It also means that it breaks substitutes, because the first hit breaks the sub, second hit hits through it. Focus Sash doesn't work because it hits twice in one turn. Substitute, Focus Sash are the 2 big ones, but it gives a lot more utility than just a Choice Band, and it's free. You Mega Evolve on the turn and you can already use it. Another really cool thing, Powerup Punch, when it hits the target, raises your attack by 1. So, with Parental Bond, Powerup Punch essentially becomes a base 60 fighting move that's like a free Swords Dance. Which is nuts, because Swords Dance is already good as is, but now with Powerup Punch, you're getting a free attack off while you use it, and you can break Focus Sashes, you can break substitutes, all this really, really cool stuff. Its stats are also really good when paired with this. 100 base speed isn't a lot, but it gets Sucker Punch, which is +2 priority, and it has a pretty awesome 125 base attack. We are now seeing a lot of Pokemon with much higher base attacks, but 125 when you're getting this +2 and essentially the +1 from Parental Bond is really, really frightening. Also, it's actually really bulky. It has 105 base HP, 100 base defense, and 100 special defense. That is pretty absurd when you consider that Mega Kangaskhan is a sweeper. It's not even a defensive Pokemon. It just means it can really set up on a lot of other Pokemon who aren't, you know, the super strong ones we're seeing. So this team was based around Mega Kangaskhan, and the idea that it is such a hugely powerful sweeper. So from there, I thought, okay, well, my kind of end goal is to be sweeping with Kangaskhan. Of course, that's not the only way this team wins. But what's some really good utility that all sweepers enjoy? And that's, of course, hazards. So I picked, in my opinion, the single best hazard layer ever used in Pokemon, and that would be Deoxys-Speed. For those of you who don't know about Deoxys-Speed, it just has ridiculous speed and access to all the hazards that you can want. It pretty much guarantees you get down Stealth Rocks and at least 1 layer of Spikes, almost without fail, which is just crazy when you pair it with a lot of these offensive Pokemon. The one kind of odd choice on this Deoxys S is Shadow Ball, and I'll tell you why I'm running it. So in 6th gen, there's this new mechanic with the move Defog. I've talked about it in some of my other videos, but Defog now just removes both sides of their hazards and of screens and all this stuff, so it just clears the field, and that means certain teams can get around hazards even if you have a rapid spin blocker like I do. Now, the big ones to look out for are Latios and Latias. They both have access to Defog. They have awesome typings, so they have all these really great resists. They also threaten a lot of teams offensively, so they're going to have plenty of turns to use Defog. Now, with that said, I run Shadow Ball on the off chance I'm going up against a Latios or Latias who's just trying to defog away my hazards. Shadow Ball will whittle them down a little bit. This last slot is usually used for stuff like Psycho Boost, to give Deoxys a little bit of offensive presence, or things like Magicoat to affect other Deoxys-S leads. But I like Shadow Ball for the little bit of utility it brings in case you come up against a Pokemon like Latias or Latios. So that leads me into my next Pokemon, because I was very aware that I'm going to be running a hazard-based offensive team in a metagame where there are two unblockable rapid spinners who are just really good Pokemon in general, even if you're not using Defog. And a Pokemon that springs to mind with dealing with those Pokemon is Choice Scarf Genesect. And actually this EV spread is wrong, but I'll get into that in a second. So Genesect, for those of you who played in the 5th generation metagame, is awesome. And it is just as awesome as it is in 6th gen as it is this gen. As it was last gen, I mean to say. Choice Scarf Genesect gives you huge momentum with U-turn, plus download, giving it a boost to U-turn, potentially. It gives you like a Choice Band U-turn with a Choice Scarf. Download can also be used to give you a special attack bonus to these special attacks that you can revenge other Pokemon with. So Choice Scarf Genesect is not only a awesome revenge killer, it is just so good at building momentum and building up hazard damage. So once Deoxys has laid down all these hazards, I can utilize U-turn so they bring out a counter to Genesect, it takes hazard damage, I U-turn out, I bring out a counter to their counter, all of a sudden they have to switch out their Pokemon, their next Pokemon is going to take more hazard damage. It really starts to add up this passive damage on your opponent's team, which is great because it's essentially free. Also, it really deals with the Latios and Latias that I knew I was going to have a problem with. So a key thing to look out for when using this team is if you see your opponent does have Latias or Latios, assume they're running Defog on it, and maybe don't sack your Deoxys right away. Maybe try and eliminate their Latios or Latias with your Genesect before you lay all your hazards. We'll get into general strategy in a little bit once I finish going over the team. So once this kind of little core was finished, I decided to look at the metagame, and I thought, well, in my opinion, the metagame kind of revolves around Mega Kangaskhan right now. It is the best sweeper in the game. That means a lot of people should be running it. It kind of centralizes the metagame around itself. So I took a page from History's book and thought about Pokemon who were also like Kangaskhan in their metagames, and then I thought of Gen 4 Garchomp and Gen 5 Excadrill. Now both of these Pokemon were so centralizing to their metagame that really popular teams would utilize them. So in Gen 5 you'd have a Pokemon like Excadrill, and then you'd have counters to Excadrill on your own team to deal with your opponent's Excadrill. And so I decided to think of that the same way. So I started to think up Pokemon that could really deal with Kangaskhan well. And one of the ones I came up with first is a bit unorthodox. So, Rocky Helmet Rough Skin Garchomp. The reason this Pokemon is really good at beating Mega Kangaskhan is because it racks up passive damage on Mega Kangaskhan. For those of you who don't know, Rocky Helmet does, if the holder is hit by a contact move, the attacker loses 1/6 of its max HP. Plus, Rough Skin, when the Pokemon causes other Pokemon making contact to lose 1/8 of the max HP. So it's pretty much like another Rocky Helmet, but a little less damage. Remember, Mega Kangaskhan's moves contact with you 2 times. So, with Rocky Helmet, Rough Skin Garchomp, Mega Kangaskhan maybe uses Return. So on the first hit of Return, it's losing 1/6 of its HP from Rocky Helmet, plus 1/8 of its HP from Rough Skin, and then on the second hit of Return from Mega Kangaskhan, it's losing another 1/6 from Rocky Helmet and another 1/8 from Rough Skin. So you can just switch Mega Garchomp in on Mega Kangaskhan, and all of a sudden Mega Kangaskhan is at like 50% HP without you even having to do anything. And then it has to worry about finishing Mega Garchomp off if it didn't already, because then Mega Kangaskhan will pretty much be dying to recoil. Plus, I've been finding Garchomp to be really, really awesome in this metagame. Because with these 4 attacks, it can hit most Pokemon super effectively, if not neutral, and a lot of the revenge killers in today's metagame utilize recoil type attacks, and so Mega Garchomp in a way can't be revenged like other Pokemon. It can still be revenged by Pokemon like Genesect, but a lot of people are relying on Talonflame to revenge Pokemon because its priority Brave Bird kind of just trumps its priority Brave Bird just trumps Choice Scarf revenge killers because it doesn't have to lock itself in and it has +1 priority. But the thing is, Talonflame cannot revenge this Garchomp without killing itself, pretty much. Because Talonflame will hit you with Brave Bird, trying to take you out. It takes recoil from Brave Bird, and then it takes recoil from Rocky Helmet, and then it takes recoil from Rough Skin. All of a sudden, Talonflame is gone. So this Garchomp brings a lot of offensive pressure with these 4 moves. It's pretty much never going to be a spot where it doesn't have an offensive move to use, but it also brings a lot of utility in this kind of building up of passive damage. Especially useful against Kangaskhan and especially useful against Talonflame, who are 2 of the biggest threats in today's metagame. The next Pokemon is also built against Kangaskhan, but it's also a Rapid Spin blocker. So I was very aware that some people will still use Rapid Spin because Defog eliminates your own side of hazards. So if I'm playing against someone who's also trying to stack their own hazards, but wants to get rid of mine, they're going to have a Rapid Spinner. So I thought, I want a Ghost-type Pokemon. And a really cool way to counter Mega Kangaskhan is to use a substituting Will-O-Wisp Ghost-type Pokemon. And I'll go over that in a second. So, as you can see from the moveset of Mega Kangaskhan, it uses Powerup Punch, Sucker Punch, Return, Earthquake. This is the most standard set and is used on most Kangaskhan's. The cool thing about this Gengar is it can switch in to all of those moves. It is immune to Powerup Punch, immune to Return, and immune to Earthquake. And Sucker Punch will only hit Gengar if Gengar uses an attacking move. So, your opponent brings out Kangaskhan. You know it's gonna Mega Evolve. You bring in your Gengar. Let's say they went for the Power-Up Punch. You're immune to it. So you got Gengar in for free. Now you substitute as they use Sucker Punch. Their Sucker Punch fails, you're now behind a sub. They're thinking, okay, he's gonna attack now. My Sucker Punch hits twice, so the substitute doesn't matter. So, they click substitute again, you click Will-O-Wisp. Now, Mega Kangaskhan is burned, and it still has no way of hitting you. You can just then stall by clicking Will-O-Wisp or substitute again and again and again. Eventually, they're going to have to switch their Mega Kangaskhan out, and at that point, you are a Gengar behind a free substitute, and their Mega Kangaskhan is neutered. It's a really, really cool play to use, especially in this metagame where Mega Kangaskhan is so prevalent. Now, the one thing you do have to be on the lookout for, some Mega Kangaskhan run Crunch. If they run Crunch, this Gengar will not work in countering them. But, Mega Kangaskhan does have 4 move slot syndrome. It has to give up one of its other moves to run Crunch. A lot of players will remove Sucker Punch and run Crunch over that. In that case, Gengar is, will lose to Mega Kangaskhan, but all of a sudden you can revenge it with a lot of your other Pokemon. Your own Mega Kangaskhan can revenge it with its Sucker Punch. Genesect doesn't have to worry about Sucker Punch and can revenge Kangaskhan. Garchomp outspeeds Mega Kangaskhan and can probably finish it off. A lot of really cool moves. The one Pokemon you do have to be worried about Mega Kangaskhan is a Mega Kangaskhan who runs Crunch over Earthquake. It's less common, but if you feel like you're seeing that trend start to come around, you're seeing a lot of Mega Kangaskhan who have Powerup Punch, Sucker Punch, Crunch, and Return, just switch out Gengar for Aegislash, because Aegislash handles non-Earthquake Kangaskhan really well because of King Shield. So that was the reasoning for these 5, and then as I was looking at the team, I was feeling out what I kind of needed, and there's a kind of core that a lot of really strong teams always use, and that is a lot of most really good strong teams have a Steel type, a Ground type, and a Water type, because those 3 types really work really well together. So I was looking, I have Steel type covered in Genesect, Ground type covered in Garchomp, and I was like, well, let's try and fit a Water type Pokemon in. And there's a Water type who is supremely good on this team and is supremely good in this metagame, and that would be Rotomwash. This is a very standard Rotomwash, Chesto Resto Rotomwash, and it is just really strong. It is a really strong switch into Talonflame. It's a very good switch in to Pokemon like Landorus T, Tornadus, Excadrill, who don't have Mold Breaker, and is a really solid Pokemon in general. Plus, it allows me to have a U-turn Volt Switch combo. So once I've set up hazards with Deoxys-S, and I U-turn with Genesect, let's say they bring out a Skarmory into my U-turn, expecting it. I can just then go into Rotomwash, threaten them out with the Volt Switch, they have to switch out their Skarmory, I Volt Switch, I gain even more momentum. So Rotomwash not only helps fill this team out defensively with its typing and resistances and immunities, but it also gels really well with the team. The EV spread is up for contention if you're seeing a lot of offensive rain teams, which are much more rare these days. You can go for a special defensive spread. Sorry about that, guys. So if you want your Rotom W to pack a little more of a punch, you can use a more special attack oriented EV spread. Rotomwash's EV spread is, you can tweak it however you like to play. Also for Genesect, the kind of gold standard for the EV spread is not this classic one they give you. I believe it's 164. I'll have the correct EV spread in the description regardless, but I'm pretty sure this is it. And you can just go, yeah, I think you need, yeah, that's it. So I'm pretty sure this is it, or you know what, I think you want to run a couple more EVs, and what it is you don't need to outspeed a lot of Pokemon above this, so boosting Genesect's attack really boosts the U-turn power, and you're U-turning a lot with Genesect anyway. So that's pretty much the team. It's very interesting, very threatening, and works very well in the metagame at the moment. I'll probably be getting like a Pokemon Showdown live soon, so I can show you guys how the team works. But I wanted to give you guys a team and kind of talk about the metagame with you guys a little bit, because I know I haven't put out a video for a while, and the metagame has shifted, and I haven't been playing the Pokebank metagame, but it's a lot of fun, and you guys should check it out. Remember, with these Team of the Weeks, you have to take the importable of this team that I'm going to put in this video's description, and take it out for a test drive and leave a comment on how the team handled, what you thought was really strong about the team. Did Mega Kangaskhan live up to its threatening nature? So leave a comment about that, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the content and want to see more. So with that, I will see you guys later.